Hello, friends, and welcome. This is episode 7 of Journey into Fandom Season 2, a podcast where I have guests on to discuss what fandoms and communities they're part of, what their experience has been, what the memes are, and how toxic or wholesome it is. I'm your host, Karis Lunn, and today on the show, we have Mark, also known as MarKreation Studios, on to talk about Transformers. This was a really raw and heartwarming conversation. He told me some wonderful stories of how Transformers has really helped him over the years, and I know you're going to love listening to his story. Now, without any further ado, please join me on this journey into fandom. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of A Journey into Fandom. I am your host, Karis Lunn, and today on the show we have Mark here to talk about Transformers. Thank you for coming on to Journey into Fandom. Amazing. Yeah, I was just about to be like, this is the show where we talk about Kingdom Hearts, and then I was like, that's not right. I haven't
I love Kingdom Hearts. If you wanted me to talk about Kingdom Hearts instead, I can do that all day too.
That's my old podcast that's dead right now. We wrapped it up
Oh
like
no.
like last week. We did the final episode of Kingdom Mind, so it's gone. It's done. Um, what I like to do when I get guests on the show is I give them 2 minutes to summarize the topic. So, do you think you can, like, explain for someone that knows nothing about Transformers to give them, like, the condensed wiki article version in 2 minutes? Would you like to do this?
I would like to try. Yes.
You got this. Alright, I got my timer up. So, if you're ready for this,
Uh-huh.
okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Transformers is a series about big giant robots that also aren't big giant robots. They can turn into different vehicles such as cars and trucks and airplanes and helicopters. There's even some Transformers shows where they turn into dogs. It's really weird, but we call those the weird Transformers, but even I like them sometimes. Except for that one show that just came out last year where they turned into food. That was weird. I'm not even joking about that. That's a real thing.
Wow.
But anyway, uh, the main thing is about the robots that turn into the vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the real guys, and the Autobots are the good guys, and the Decepticons are the bad guys. The Autobots and the Decepticons, they came to Earth 4 million years ago, and they crash landed. And I'm just summing up Generation 1, and that's just one of the very many different continuities, but whatever. And
Got it.
and they wake up and they all start fighting. Basically, they've been fighting for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years before they even found Earth. And yeah, they just really hate each other. There's a
Nice.
there's there's an Autobot leader named Optimus Prime. He
Mm,
talks like this, and he is very stoic. And
he's
then
very
there's
cool.
Megatron, the evil guy, and he's the Decepticon leader, and they really hate each other. And then the Decepticons and Autobots are always fighting. And that's pretty much it.
Amazing. That's pretty much like 2 minutes on the dot. You did
Yeah,
great.
I had my own time watch, if I'm honest.
Beautiful. So good. Yeah, that was a really good summary. I feel like that was helpful
I can go into more detail if you want, but that's pretty much the
Yeah.
weird version.
Oh, well, we'll get to that, right? So, I think I told you this already, but I've like only seen the Michael Bay movies and then like the recent Bumblebee movie. So that's like it as far as Transformers is concerned. That's like my whole knowledge. Um
Well,
and
that was my whole knowledge when I was a kid too, so I'm with you.
yeah. Yeah, so tell me, that's really interesting. Tell me about your fandom journey. How did you get involved in Transformers?
So when I was a kid, I used to have a lot of surgeries. And when I say a lot of surgeries, I mean to say that in total, I'm pretty sure I had at least 30 plus surgeries when I was a kid.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of surgeries. And so one summer, it was the summer 2007, I'll never forget it. I first saw the very first live action Michael Bay movie.
Mhm.
And it was quite possibly one of the funniest, best, awesome, amazing movies I had ever seen as a kid. I was about 7 or 8, and 'cause I was born in '99, so, and I had never heard of Transformers before then. I mean, maybe I've heard of it somewhere, but like I never actually like knew what it was that much until I saw the movie. And when I saw that movie, I remember I just loved it so much. And so I got toys, and so a couple months later, I think it came out in DVD or something, and I was in the hospital for about, I don't know, 2 weeks or something, and we had it on every single day, and I would watch it every single day, and there were certain
Nice.
parts, and here's the thing. I know it's not a perfect movie. Even
Right.
back then, I knew, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But at the time, I thought it was just amazing. I didn't even care about the inconsistencies or whatever. I just thought it was so, because I was just a little kid. I just liked the explosions and the um, specifically the donut scene. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. There's a scene where two of the characters are in a I don't know what it is. Um, it's like in a jail, but they're about to be questioned and stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot
And
all about that
yeah, of
until
course he
just
did. Of
now.
course he did, because these characters never appear again after this movie. So
Yeah.
it's fine. It's totally fine. But my favorite, it was one of my most favorite things ever, was when the guy started yelling like, if you don't eat the no, if you it was something along the lines of, if you eat all of the donuts, that if you eat the donuts, it means you're not guilty. If you don't eat, it means you're guilty. And then he just picks up the plate and was just like, I ate the whole plate. So the other girl, and this guy, by the way, is like, he's really obese. So, and that's kind of the joke, because I ate the whole plate.
Yeah.
So I'm not guilty. And and then the minute the guy is walking, he's just like, she did it! She's the one you want! And he just starts yelling. And it's one of those moments where nowadays it's just a cringy scene. But at the time when I was a kid, I thought it was the funniest thing ever. So it was this movie and the SpongeBob movie. Those were the two movies that I would watch in surgery. And the reason why I'm bringing up surgery is specifically because of two things. First thing, I would wake up every morning to a different Transformers toy right next to me.
Wow.
Just brand new in package. Like my parents would just every night just go out to Walmart or something and buy me a Transformer.
That's really
And
cool.
yeah. And secondly, I was in so much pain. So whenever I laughed, I would start to cry because it would hurt to laugh.
Oh
But the
no.
thing is whenever they would be like, okay, we're gonna turn it off because you're in pain, I would start crying and more because I didn't want them to turn off the movie. So I was basically like a little itty bitty masochist baby, and I didn't care about the pain. I just wanted to laugh because it was a funny movie. And so over the years, I just really loved this movie, and I loved the sequel. Even though the sequel now that I watch it now, it's terrible. But I at the time I thought it was fun. But I remember, and this memory will come back to me years later, and I'll bring that up in a minute. So I just decided that I was um gonna see this second movie, and so my dad took me to see this movie, the second movie, Revenge of the Fallen, and I remember we walked out of the theater after seeing it, and my dad was just kind of like, "That movie was shit." And I remember at the time I was like, "What do you mean? It was awesome! There were explosions, there were giant robots killing each other. It was awesome. What are you talking about?" And I remember my dad looked at me, and I'll never forget what he said. He says, "Son, sometimes people make really shit movies and really shit games, and you just gotta be able to recognize it because
Wow.
sometimes it's hidden behind all this cool looking stuff."
Dang, what a truth bomb right there.
Yeah, it is a truth bomb.
Oof.
And yeah, at the time I was like, okay, I don't know what that means, but later on I would remember that, and it would come back to me, and I'll get back to that in a moment. But in around that time was when I started doing stop motions, and I would do these big. I would watch these big stop motions on YouTube. At the time, Transformer stop motions had become a big thing, and there was a guy named Night Slash 2020 who now is called TFX Productions, but
Mhm.
I I don't want to sound prideful, but I knew him back when he was Night Slash, and
Nice.
so yeah, and he was like the first stop motion creator I knew and I watched, and I even became friends with him for a little while on Facebook. Um, Not like friends, but acquaintances. And he just inspired me in a way to make my own stop motions. So that's what I did. I made my own stop motions. Looking back at it, my stop motions were terrible, and for the most part, the recent couple of seasons were fine, probably the most part. But I've had some big moments of realization where my stuff that I made is really bad, and I might go back and remake it if I ever go back and remake it. I don't know. It's
Very
it
cool.
it's one of those things where I want to continue it, and I really want to do something with it, but I haven't done anything with it in like 2 or 3 years. My
Got it.
fans are still waiting for me to do something, and I haven't uploaded in a very long time. That's part of why I went to Kingdom Hearts and things like that, is because I'm just like, oh, here's something new, something that isn't cursed, that I'm just gonna be, you know, screaming at in my pillow about all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
for
yeah.
real.
Yeah. So the third movie comes out. The fourth movie comes out. They're fine. The fourth movie was really well, looking back at it now, I actually kind of hate the fourth movie, but at the time I was like, it's weird. I didn't
Mm,
hate it, but I just didn't like it. But I was still deep into that mindset of just consume product, wait for next product. You know what I mean? I was in that
right.
mindset,
Yeah.
and then TLK came out. Transformers: The Last Night, not to be confused with TLJ, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which is a very similar event of something so bad that the entire fandom was like, yeah, okay, and everybody just realized Star Wars is shit now. You know what I mean? And That's kind of how it was for me for Transformers.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because they came out the same year. They both came out in 2017, and I remember I was in the theater, and this was after 2 or 3 years of just the director Michael Bay just talking about how this is going to be a big cinematic universe that I'm building. We're going to be doing spin-offs. We're going to be doing prequels. We're going to be doing animated spin-offs and all this stuff. We're going to have games. We're going to have all this stuff. And they were planning a giant Transformers cinematic universe, obviously ripping off Marvel Cinematic Universe, but
Right.
but that's what they were gonna do. And because Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, the third and fourth Transformers movies, did so good at the box office that they were just like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. These are big hits, which they weren't. They weren't good movies, but they were big hits, yeah. And so it started, and I was in the theater, and I was with my best friend Eric, and I could not believe my eyes. And I could not believe it because it had been hyped up. All the trailers looked so cool, and it was all just a bunch of,
Oh
and
no.
it
That's so
was
sad.
it was sad. And the thing
I've
is
never seen it.
don't see it. It's not worth your trouble. Trust me. Um,
Yeah.
because it it was so bad. I'm not even kidding here. I'm not gonna say how, but I have different. I have three separate versions of the Transformers 5 movie just on
Nice.
my computer because there were three separate versions that were released.
Why?
I don't know. It was so weird. So basically, in the US, one version was released, and in every other country, including the UK and Canada, it was just a different version. And it just, like, nothing substantial changed, but there were weird, subtle changes, like different dialogue from some of the Transformers. Like, in one version, he would say, "What's with the C-3PO ripoff?" And the other version, he'd be like, was with the tiny little green man or what I can't remember what he said, but like it would be tiny little subtle differences. And like
That's so weird.
it is weird. And the weird part is that some of the voice actors were different. And like completely different in the two versions.
That's
And so
bizarre.
yeah. And so the third version is a mashed up version of the two released on DVD. And it's literally just the two of them just mashed together. Which again, because there were two separate voice actors, means some characters in some scenes have different voices than in other scenes, and it's really awkward. But whatever. Um,
That's so strange. I
yeah,
don't
and
understand.
I couldn't understand either. It was a mess, and it got to the point where I actually, because I was a stop motion creator, and because I was blessed enough to be able to like meet some of the voice actors from Transformers community and things like that. I was able to, and I guess anybody could do this, but like I I was able to reach out to Stephen Barr was his name, who did a character named Nitro Zeus. I don't remember, but there was a there were a couple characters that he voiced in one of the versions, and in the other version, as well as the DVD release, he had been replaced. He didn't know that he was replaced.
What?
I had to break it to him.
That's
Hey,
so sad.
it was sad, and I felt so bad. So I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Um, it would seem that you've been replaced."
Oh,
Um,
dang.
yeah, like the poor guy. I mean, like I can't remember how he took it, but I remember he was genuinely just like, "Wait, I'm not in that movie," and I'm like, "No, you're not. Not in the not in the actual release. I mean, I personally liked his version of the character more than the other version they went for. But that's just me personally. Then again, I could just be biased. But anyway, it was just a big mess. But even the movie is just on its own. No matter what version you've watched, and trust me, I wish I didn't, but I did watch through all three of them. And I would like to one day do a video on it because of how bad it is. Not just the plot, not just the characters, but just how the editing is. There are some scenes where I genuinely don't know what happened. There is a scene, and this is out of context, but I promise you, in context, it doesn't make it any better. But there is a scene where the human characters, by the way, these Transformers movies, as you know, because you've seen some of them, are mostly just humans with Transformers in the background. Like,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
really are. And back in the day, I didn't really notice that as much as I do now looking back. But, like, this movie, the main human characters were, like, talking to this old guy that was played by Anthony Hopkins. Um, and he was basically like, I know the history of the Transformers. And he, like, had all these paintings of Transformers and ancient times and all that. I'm not gonna get into that because you don't care, but it basically breaks so much of the lore. But whatever,
That's so
um,
weird.
it is. But the funny part is that one of the humans randomly sees a watch and comes close to it. And is like, "What is this?" And he grabs it. He's like, oh, "Don't touch it. That's the watch that killed Hitler."
What?
and, and then they just move on with the scene like nothing happened. And you're just like, wait, what? Wait, no, go back. What? There's a watch that what?
That
And
is so weird.
yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
get it.
I don't get it either. And when I was in the cinema, my friend and I were laughing so hard because basically, I think that was when I broke. Um, because up until that point, I was just begging for this movie to be somewhat decent. But then that scene happens, and I'm just like, this is a terrible movie. And
Oh
me and my
no.
friend were laughing, and I remember, I started to get really upset
Oh
on the way
no.
home because I was just like, this was supposed to be a fun movie. I did not have fun watching this movie. And Eric looked at me and he's like, "You had fun. You were laughing the whole time." And I'm like, "Well, I don't feel like I had fun." Which
Oh no.
now looking back, I did. But I remember I got home and like the next day, I woke up and I remembered something else that I had watched. And I forgot to bring this up earlier, but the week before Transformers 5 came out, I had watched a video of Nostalgia Critic. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, I know who that is, yeah.
Okay, good. He had made like silly videos about each Transformers show or movie up until the fifth one. And the fifth one he never watched. Instead, he just made a video the week before saying, I'm gonna predict what this movie is about. I promise you, if you watch it, it would be that video. It would be just like watching the movie,
That's
exactly like
wild.
watching the movie. It is wild. He got every single prediction right.
Wow.
He might have one tiny detail wrong, but like from what I remembered after like that next morning after seeing the movie, I was like, oh my god, Nostalgia Critic was correct. Like 100%. And
He's a
I was,
prophet.
yeah, I was so upset. Because I liked Nostalgia Critic at the time. I still don't mind him. Well, fast forward a couple of years now. Well, I don't know if you agree with me here, but a lot of media franchises are now going to shit.
Yeah, and what's interesting, okay, I feel like I feel like the first Transformers, right? Back in 2007. It was 2007, right? Like, I
Yes.
think so I remember watching that movie a bunch as a kid too, and like really liking it. And then the second one, I think I saw maybe twice. And then I don't know if I've ever seen any of the others. I might have seen the third one like once. And then after that, I was kind of done.
I don't blame you.
I was like, these movies are long and they're kind of just explosions, whatever. And I kind of feel like a lot of the humor I didn't really enjoy that much. Like, it's kind of not really my humor. So I was sort of like, there's just more of that.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
microwave humor isn't that good of humor. Yeah, it's a
no.
weird thing. Yeah.
But I think that the first film is solid. And I also feel like it really kind of kick started the whole trend of like reviving 80s
It kind of did.
franchises.
Yeah,
Because I can't actually think of a movie before then that really did that. Like,
I
and kind of,
can't either.
and after Transformers, it's like then you got
Tell us in
um
the comments if we're wrong, by the way. We might be completely wrong here, but I agree with you.
then you had like, well, whatever else, like I don't know, Ready Player One, or like all these kind of movies coming out, and like all these sort of like,
Oh, yeah.
or like Wreck-It Ralph, like all of these like 80s nostalgia things. And then you have like Stranger Things. But like I feel like Transformers was like one of the first in like the 2000s to like make this a new thing. And then obviously you had the return of Star Wars coming back after that, and like all these different things. So I think that it set a precedent for all of these other franchises. Which, so I think that it did good for that. Like I think that it a lot of people trash these movies and they think they're terrible, but I think it's good for cinema in that people that liked those franchises like as a kid were like, cool, we're making Transformers cool now for like a new generation. And I think that's fun. And I think that a lot of, younger people like liked that about it. Like, oh yeah, I didn't know that this thing existed. And like probably like yourself, you watch these movies, and then did you get into like the old stuff after that?
Oh, yes. When I think the third or fourth movie had come out, I got a book. It was called The Ultimate Guide, which, if you think about it, sounds perfect for a kid that doesn't know anything about anything but the movies. So I got
Right.
The Ultimate Guide, and it was made by a guy named Mark. I don't remember his last name, but I do remember that his first name was Mark. And anyway, I might be remembering another book that was written by Mark. But anyway, um, The Ultimate Guide had basically summaries of every show up until the movies. Like it literally summed everything up until the movies. Like to the point where I think at the very end it had a teaser for the movie or something like that for the first one. Or something like it caught me up perfectly. And so it told me about the cartoons, it told me about Beast Wars, which was about Transformers that turned into animals, which I know I was making fun of at the beginning of this, but I actually liked the show. I think the show was fine.
Interesting.
Um,
I thought Beast Wars was a different thing. I didn't realize it was like actually like in the same universe as
it
Transformers.
is
Oh, I
actually.
didn't know that. Okay, interesting.
I mean, summary, a very, 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 very short summary of the lore is basically they're the futuristic Autobots and Decepticons called Maximals and Primals, and they basically go back in time and to Earth before the Autobots and Decepticons arrived, and and that's why some of them turn into dinosaurs. And I actually liked it. I actually liked it.
Sure. What about like your involvement in the fan community then? So like you started doing the stop
So
motion
yeah, I
videos.
started doing stop motions. I
Yeah.
started getting voice actors. I started. Part of me doesn't want to talk about the stop motions, but part of me knows I kind of should
No, you don't
because
have
it
to
just.
talk about anything
I
if you don't
know,
want to.
but the thing is I'm gonna be sharing this to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna be sharing this in my my community tab, and I'll just let my fans know. Hey guys, any of you that still believe in me, I'm on my way back. Here's me talking about Transformers if you guys want to check. And because I genuinely do want to continue my series. I just don't know how I'm gonna do it yet because I don't know if I want to reboot it. I don't know if I want to just continue it. I don't know if I want to continue it until I'm done with the season I'm on and then reboot it. I don't know because I
Got it.
just after the last night came out and then some drama with some friends or people that I thought were friends at the time. It just all became I looked at my stop motions very differently. And then I watched my stop motions with another friend of mine. He and I don't know about him, but I could not stand watching my own stuff. And that might be true for most people. It's probably hard for most people to watch their own stuff because I I don't know. I'm not a prideful guy. I'm very critical about myself. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be criticizing every little mistake that I have in my own stop motion. But enough about my stop motion. The fandom. I love the Transformers fandom. I can tell you some jokes that only Transformers fans will know, and you'll know nothing about what I'm talking about. For example, I can talk about, hey, guess what? Bayformers.
Nice.
Do you know what that is?
No.
Can you guess what it is?
Bayformers, as in the Transformers in the Michael Bay films?
Yes.
Okay. I
I was I was about to say if you couldn't tell, that's what we've been talking about the last 37 and a half minutes.
pretty
So
much. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, it's just like with Kingdom Hearts where you can say floaty and the entire crowd goes wild. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
They know
people
what's
know what you're
going
talking
on.
about. If you know, you know. You know what I mean? So yeah,
For real, for real.
yeah.
So, what would you say at the moment is like the biggest discord going around? Discord? Discourse going
Discourse.
around in the community. What are the things that people talk about, argue about? What's like the hot topics? Is there any?
Well, right now it's kind of no, because and again, I'm not as intertwined with the community right now. So again, in the comments, let me know if there is some juicy drama. I would love to know, but no, I'm kidding. But like seriously, I don't know that much, but what I do know is a couple of years ago, uh there was big discourse about the last night because it was so bad. It lost $100 million.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which
Oh boy.
if you make three versions of the movie, that's probably why it lost my money.
Oh god.
Michael. Anyway, sorry about that. Sorry
Wow.
about that.
It's
Anyway,
okay.
I just need to let that out. Anyway, but after that happened, I mentioned earlier they were planning on making a cinematic universe akin to Marvel Universe or whatever.
Yeah.
Transformers Cinematic Universe. Yeah, that was all canceled. However, the one thing that did come out of it was the Bumblebee movie. Because the
Yes.
Bumblebee movie was already very far in development. It was coming out the very next year. They couldn't, I mean, they could have, but they really couldn't just cancel it because there was a guy named Travis Knight, is his name, and he directed the Bumblebee movie. Now, is the Bumblebee movie perfect? No, not at all. But it is a far cry from the Michael Bay movies, and I'd say it's actually pretty decent. I'd
I
say.
really enjoyed it.
I
Yeah.
did too. I
I
did
liked it
too.
a lot. I think it had the perfect amount of like nostalgia going on.
For
I
sure.
really good like
Yeah.
homage to, those kinds of 80s movies, but also um yeah, it was really sincere and I enjoyed the performances. I thought they were all really good. Yeah, thought it was
Yeah.
really solid.
Yeah, and most people talk about the opening because much like most 80s movies nowadays, It's all about the opening. It's kind of like the original Transformers movie, not the Michael Bay one, the 1986 one, where it opens with all the characters dying and then new characters come in. Why? To sell toys! Anyway, um, now
Fair.
that's something that even people that don't know about Transformers know very well about. Selling toys!
Yep.
Anyway,
Selling
um,
toys.
kill character to get new character to replace. It's like Toy Story, except for they didn't kill Woody, but you know what I mean. Anyway, Bumblebee came out, and people were just like, okay, we want to see a Bumblebee universe. Even though this movie was partially made as prequel, but after last night was bombed heavily in the box office, which I can guarantee you they did not see coming because the last two movies before that were ginormous hits. They were blockbusters. When you hear the word blockbuster, what do you think? You think of Avengers, you think of, I don't know, Avatar, Blue Monkeys, and you think Transformers. You think Transformers because big giant robots killing each other, right? You would have thought that Transformers 5 would have been a big hit. It wasn't. Because the last one, Transformers 4, was terrible. And that's
Right.
something that I found out just a couple of years ago when I actually went back and watched them all with my friend Sam. He and I just watched all of them, and basically we found out, well, he already knew because he hated the Michael Bay movies from the start, but I loved the first movie, and I remember I liked the other movies too, but after watching that I gained a new outlook on life. um
Wow.
I've been a critic of Transformers. I've been a critic of every movie and game ever since The Last Night came out. The Last Night changed me. Just like The Last Jedi changed most Star Wars fans. It just changed me.
I mean, I quite like The Last Jedi, but we won't talk about that.
Hey, you know what? That is okay. If you like The Last Jedi, any of you out there in the comments, good on you. I'm not even being sarcastic here. I envy you. I envy you. I'm not kidding. I actually envy you. I wish I liked it. I wish I liked the Transformers Michael Bay movies as much as I did back in the day. I wish I liked Transformers Last Night. I wish I liked the new Marvel stuff that's coming out. I wish I liked the stuff, guys. I really do wish. I'm
Mm,
sorry. Okay, I'm a fan just like you, but I wish I liked it as much as you. You know what I mean?
dang.
Um, it's
Yeah.
just it's just like with the opposite, with something like I hate it that I keep on bringing up Kingdom Hearts, so that's just the thing that I've been into recently. But like Kingdom Hearts 3, a lot of people hate it. I wish that you liked it, and I wish I can understand why you hate it. It's like the exact opposite. You know what I mean? Like that's how
Yes.
opinions are. It is.
Absolutely.
I wish I could have that opinion because I envy. Not that I wish that I hated Kingdom Hearts. No, I wish I liked Transformers Last Night. I wish I liked Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I really do wish I did. And maybe one day I will if I watch it with a new eyesight. Who knows?
Right.
Um, but
Yeah,
and that's the other thing is time changes everything.
it
It
does.
and that's my main point is that's why now looking back at what my dad said, it resonates with me now. Because at that time, my pea-sized brain could not comprehend the idea of a movie being bad. I could not comprehend that idea. I could comprehend it being boring. At the time, I hated Sound of Music. I thought it was the boring shit ever. Nowadays, I love Sound of Music. It's amazing. I never
It's
watched
great.
it, but it's amazing.
It
It's
is
a great
amazing.
classic. Yeah. one of
That's so
my
good.
favorite one of my favorite things about it is that it's about a freaking nun o- out overpowering Nazis. I know it sounds worse, not worse. I know it sounds a lot more crazy than it actually is, but like seriously, guys, go see Sound of Music. It's actually pretty good.
It's
Um,
outstanding. We love
it
it.
is. You'll love it, guys. I promise. It's based on a true story. I'm pretty sure.
It is, yeah. They're a true family of untraps. Yeah, very cool. I resonate with what you're saying because there's some things that, like, my sister will just, she really likes Hallmarky Christmas movies, right? And I like
Yeah,
some of them. Some of them are fine. Like, some of them I'll put on
I
and I can
instantly know what you're referring to.
I can just
By
turn
the
off my
way, yeah,
brain and be like, it's cool. But she can watch like dozens of these,
right.
when it gets to December, and I'm just like, I'm glad you're having a good time. I want to enjoy these movies, but I can't, because there gets to a point where it's like they are all the same, and and I feel the same way about many things, about Wonder Woman 84. People hate that movie. I really freaking enjoyed it. Like,
I'm glad you did. I'll tell you what. I am in the hate bandwagon of that movie, but I am not in the hate bandwagon of Wonder Woman as a character. I think Wonder Woman is awesome. I just think they made some dumb decisions in that
oh, they
movie.
did. They really did. Like, that aside, apart from that, like, I can just turn on my brain and, like, this is a fun movie to me. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I
it's
liked it.
awesome.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting. So I wonder, like, what is, like, your favorite Transformers things? We've talked about the Michael Bay movies that you have a complicated relationship with, but,
I
like,
do have a companion.
what's your thing that's like, your thing right now in terms of Transformers? Because you said there's lots of different continuity.
It's hard. Like there's more than 20 different continuities. I'm pretty
Oh
sure.
boy.
Yeah,
That's
there's
too
like
many.
It's too many. There's like the comics, there's the old comics from the 80s, there's the new comics that came out in the early 2000s. There's the newer new ones that are like, ex- part of my political um, statement, way woker than the other comics. Um, by the way, no problem at all. You're woke. No problem at all if you're not. I'm not even gonna say if I am or not. I'm just saying that's what it is. Anyway,
Great. Yeah.
yeah, great. Um, anyway, and like I said before, it's the same thing with movies as it is with politics, as it is with religion. In general, opinions are opinions. I wish I enjoyed this stuff. I wish I can, agree with people about their religion and politics and things, and I'm not gonna get into that, but you know what I mean, right? Like that's
Mhm.
just how I am as a person. I actually envy people that seem to have a better time in life than me. I have not had a good time at all since like 2020, and
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, I know, and I know a lot of people have, and I envy them because I know a lot of people have been having fun, and that's great. And you know what? I didn't have that much fun before 2020 either. So I'm not gonna act like anything got worse or better. But and I'm not. I mean, you can make your own guess on what I'm referring to. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but like nothing was better or worse for me. But like things like that, just my opinion is the same with Transformers. Transformers is at its core a ginormous franchise. I just love to collect the toys nowadays. I think
Okay.
that's my answer to your question that you asked
Okay.
5 minutes ago. Uh,
No, no, that's a good answer.
yeah, I just like collecting the toys now because the toys are timeless, even the
Exactly.
bad ones.
Yep.
Yeah, they're timeless, and I can look. For example, I'm holding a Transformers Armada. You old school people will know what I'm talking about. His name. Trying to think of a nickname. Bendy Prime. Bendy Prime. Now, Bendy Prime, for those of you that don't know, like you, is I'm assuming you don't know who that
I don't
Um,
know.
is a nickname for one of the Armada Optimus Prime figures. And this Optimus Prime figure, I'm pretty sure the reason why it's called Bendy Prime. Correct me if I'm wrong, comments. But he's the first one that you can like move in so many different ways because he had so many different joints of articulation. He's one
Yeah.
of the very first very well articulated Transformers that can still transform. It's one of those toys that it's timeless for me, and I've only had it for about a year, but I love it so much because it's one of the oldest modern style Transformers. Yeah, and there are other toys, Transformer toys, and that I have that are really bad, like really really bad, but I still love them because they're just the nostalgia behind them. Even the things that I didn't have nostalgia for growing up, I just have nostalgia for them being there at all. Because again, I can feel the nostalgia other people would feel. I know for a fact that if I told people, hey, I have a Generation 1 Optimus Prime, so many people would be like, yeah, man, that means your collection's complete. Awesome. And I'd be like, collection's never complete. And they'd be like, what? I don't have a G1 Optimus Prime, by the way. That's just I wish I did though. It That's a meme though, because Generation 1 Optimus Prime, of course, if you don't know, is the very first Optimus Prime toy ever made. And is one of the first Transformers toys in general ever made. Um, And obviously, if you have him, then good for you. That means you're special, I guess. I don't know. But it's like a vintage. It's like having an old VHS tape that's like so old that like it's rare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
except they've reissued the Optimus Prime quite a few times. G1 Optimus Prime, so it's not as rare as some of the other G1 figures. But it's one of those toys that I genuinely would love to have one day.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool.
yeah. And on the media side of things, I'll tell you what, I cannot wait to see the new movie. But the reason why I cannot wait isn't because I want to see the explosions. It isn't because I want to see robots killing robots. It isn't because I want to see mindless Michael Bay style humor. Because Michael Bay's not directing it. I don't know who it is, but it's not Travis Knight either. I'm gonna have to memorize it, but I bet I will by the time it releases, because I watch a guy named Ration Nation. Big shout out to Alex Yu, the Ration Nation. Go subscribe to him. He is part of why I got so hyped for the last night in Transformers 4 and things, because he was the news channel for the longest time for Transformers movies, and
Okay.
he might still do it for the new one.
Mm,
If it ever actually comes, I mean it will come out. It'll come out next year. I keep on saying if it ever comes out, like it's not coming out, but it is. But
very cool.
that's the other thing though. That's the only piece of media I can think of that I'm excited for Transformers, because other than that, the cartoons that they're making, the games that they're making, are for kids, and
Right. Yeah.
it, and that hurts
Mhm.
because, and I know I'm speaking for everyone here. I know I'm probably speaking for you here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I wish I was a kid again. You want to know what I play? I keep on bringing up Kingdom Hearts. This is a Transformers thing. I promise this will be the last time this stream. Okay.
Okay.
Um. My I only played Kingdom Hearts the last year, so so I'm been a fan for about a whole year now.
Yeah.
Um, I wish that I grew up with the series. I
Yeah.
do. I envy people like Sarah Key, people like Regular Pat, that grew up with this series to
Yeah.
the point where they even remember being excited for Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, imagine that. You know what
Yep.
I mean? Fast forward to now, I'm still I got into the fandom when people were still talking about Kingdom Hearts 3 like it came out yesterday.
Yeah.
Um and they still do kind of act like that.
I was gonna
Uh
say they still do. Still beating
yeah,
that horse.
they are still beating that horse, yes. Uh, and that's the thing is Transformers is kind of similar in a way where if you didn't grow up with it, it's not the same. And
Yeah.
that's the sad thing is that I don't know if I would be into Transformers if I hadn't grown up with it. If I hadn't gone through a surgery and basically watched the movie every day. I just I don't know. But the thing is I have another part of the Transformers story that I'd kind of like to end off with because it's an interesting way. I mean, of course, you can ask me more questions than I can answer, but like this is like my final thing that I can think of that I grew up with for Transformers. And this is a bit more personal. And I've told a couple of people about this, but anybody that's above 12 years old, do not listen. You remember how we used to believe in Santa?
Uh-huh. Yes.
So we used to believe in Santa. We used to believe in the Easter Bunny. Some people even think that's God. I personally think that religion's way different than that, but whatever. Um, but when I was a kid, I believed that Transformers were actually real.
Wow.
And I did.
That's
And
beautiful.
it is beautiful. And the thing is my parents, bless their souls, would write to me every day as the Transformers, giving me letters and just talking to me, and I
That's
would write
so
back to them.
cute.
Yeah, it is. I still have a big box of all my Transformers letters just somewhere in my storage room, and I'll always hold on to those. And it's just I would write to them, they would write back, and my mom would use it for getting me to eat oatmeal or doing the dishes, saying, "Hey, mom won't be is writing me a letter saying, hey, I like it. I like watching you doing the dishes." Now, of course, I can see why she did that. It's very
Yep.
obvious now. But at the time, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I can do the dishes, and Mommy likes to watch me do the dishes. I don't know. I'm a little kid. I'm gonna believe everything I hear. So,
That's
yeah,
beautiful. I love
I
that
know.
so much.
And so I started writing, and then it got to the point where I went to my aunt's house. And you remember in the first Transformers movie, there was a radio that turned into a robot. That
Yes.
radio's name is Frenzy.
That's right.
And and I still have this radio, by the way. But at my aunt's house, there was a radio. Looks nothing like Frenzy, but when I was a kid, I thought it looked like Frenzy, and I got so excited because I thought it was actually Frenzy.
Oh, that's adorable.
It was so cute. I thought that was Frenzy, and so my aunt, bless her soul, started the whole writing to me from Transformers trend, and started writing to me because I wrote a letter to Frenzy basically saying, "Please don't kill me," and stuff
Fair
like
enough.
that. Yeah, basically saying something like that and saying, "I like you. I think you're a cool guy, even though you're evil in the movie." And he's like, and then he actually wrote back to me, and I was like, "Whoa!" And so then after that, I started getting letters from Transformers. And then one day, for I think it was my birthday or Christmas, but one day, um, they gave me the radio in reality. But
Oh,
what
that's
I thought,
awesome.
what yeah, it was. But what I thought was Frenzy wanted to live with me. because that's what they told me. They told me Frenzy wants to live with you. Frenzy wants to be with you. Frenzy wants to protect you. And for years, I would write to Frenzy. I would write to the Transformers. I would even write to Megatron sometimes and tell him he was a and he would write me back in the weirdest way. I need to read some of these letters I make because some of these letters are wacky. Because I do not know how I thought I was having these conversations with evil warlords, but like
Right.
I was just like, "Hi, Megatron, how you doing? Doing good, crushing up this crime right now. How are you?" You know what I mean? Like, is that what he's saying? I don't know. I don't remember, but I
That's
remember.
outstanding, man. I
Yeah,
love that.
I know. I remember being friends with him. I remember being friends with Ironhide. I remember being friends with all these characters. So, fast forward to when I was about 12 or 13. My parents sat me down and they told me
Oh.
about Santa. And they told me about the Easter Bunny. And they told me about the Transformers.
Oh, wow. That would have been devastating.
Now, I'm not even kidding here. I'm not even kidding here for the meme. I'm being dead serious. Okay?
Yeah.
When I heard all this news, again, I'm not kidding. I was more upset about Transformers not being real than I was about Santa, than I was about the Easter Bunny. Who cares about the Easter Bunny, by the way? Uh,
Right.
but I
No
was
one.
more upset about Frenzy and Transformers not being real than I was about Santa or any of that. That was the thing that I was the most upset about,
Right.
above all else. I'm kind of getting teary eyed just by thinking about it, even though it was like years and years ago, and I've gotten over it, of course. But like, it's just a nice memory. But I remember just being so crushed. But looking back at it now, I'm so happy that it happened, and I can never, I can never come up with a better idea for a little kid. And so when I had my brother,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do the same thing with him, but I did similar things with him. I would pretend like his stuffed animals were real. I would pretend like my little brother, oh my god, let me tell you about my little brother. Have you ever heard of King Kong?
Yes.
Okay. My little brother would watch the 2005 movie King Kong. Specifically the scene where he would murder a T-Rex in cold blood. And you know what? He was like 1 year old. And he loved it. And
Wow.
I'm not even kidding. He was like 1 year old. And he loved monkeys, he loved gorillas. I remember I would show him tiny little pieces of what he used to call the monkey movie, when in reality it was just Rise of the Planet of the Apes or whatever. I started, telling him stories about Caesar, King Kong, and all these characters. And that was all because of this Transformers thing.
Yeah.
And that was kind of me passing down the torch.
That's cool.
Obviously, he's older now and he knows that stuff's all bullshit. But it is really, really great. And so when I think about Transformers now, and people ask me, why are you still into Transformers if you don't do stop motions anymore? Number one, I am doing stop motion still. I just don't upload them yet. I can't yet. I still need that self esteem part of me back. That's a whole nother discussion. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I can never forget my memories about Transformers. And one of the biggest memories that I ever have is that whole thing with writing letters to them. And so most people, they love Transformers because it's a funny cartoon, or it's a really great toy, or it's
Right.
an awesome movie that they saw. For
Mhm.
me, I thought they were real, and my parents nourished that idea for years.
Oh,
And it was the best childhood I could have possibly hoped for. I'm
that's
trying not
so
to cry.
sweet.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I loved it, and I could never have asked for a better childhood when it comes to Transformers. My childhood was not perfect, by the way, but
Whose
um,
is right?
yeah, not perfect at all. But in terms of like my Transformers memories, I don't think it could have been better at all.
Yeah,
I
that's really
really
cool.
genuinely don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really touched that you told that story and kind of really like put your heart on your sleeve. I appreciate that so much. And I think
Yeah, no problem.
it's really beautiful to me that you don't view that in like a cynical way, like you don't resent your parents for
Of
doing that,
course
but like
not. Yeah.
actually you're like,
I'm.
no, that was the coolest thing ever that
It was.
they kept this alive for so long for me.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful
It was.
and
They kept it alive for me for over 10 years. Can you imagine that? Like that's amazing.
that is amazing.
Yeah. Like maybe it wasn't 10 years, but at least a good 7 or 8 years. And I I mean, like, was I upset at them when they very first told me? Probably. I don't remember, but I was probably upset. I was a child, right? But like very soon after, if I haven't, you know what? Maybe I should. But if I haven't, maybe I should. But I'm pretty sure I have told them thank you because holy crap, that was an amazing journey that I had, and I'll never forget it. And yeah, like it when people say that, and I think I might have already said this, but if people ask me why I like Transformers, it really isn't because of the TV shows, even though the TV shows I love. It really isn't just because of that. I literally believe that they were real, and I know I keep on hammering that in, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true, and I can't believe it myself that I believed it because it's one of those lightning in a bottle moments where it wasn't even my parents' idea. It wasn't even my aunt's idea, even though my aunt's the one that started it by writing me the first letter. Because that first letter was obviously my aunt, because that was my aunt's radio. My,
Yeah.
my, I could never have asked for a better experience. Like it was so much fun, and it's part of what made me want to do stop motions because of some of the stories that I would think of from the stories that they would tell me in the letters. Because in the letters, my parents would come up with different stories of Transformers that sometimes they would remember from their childhoods. Sometimes they weren't big Transformers fans. My dad knew about them a little bit. My dad's brother collected a few of them when he was a kid or something. And so I remember just loving it. And yeah, I know I've already said that like 2 times now, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was an amazing experience, and I can never I can never say that I don't care about Transformers because that would be a lie. I would be
Yeah.
lying. 'Cause I do care about Transformers. Am I
Absolutely.
am I more now into other things like Kingdom Hearts, Toki Doki Literature Club, things like that? Absolutely, I am right now because that's the phase that I'm in.
Yeah.
But in my heart of hearts, my Kingdom Hearts, if you will, um, I know I said I wouldn't bring it up again. I'm sorry. Um,
You're good.
in my heart of hearts, I will never forget Transformers. Transformers will always be at the top of my most favorite franchises. And that is why I recommend to you, and I recommend to everyone here, go watch some of the old TV shows. My favorite Transformers TV show is Transformers Armada. It is a good show. It's not perfect. In fact, there are other shows in the Transformers fandom that are objectively better,
Okay.
but I love Armada because of how different it is. And
Okay.
I
I
love
might give
different.
it a look. I might check it
Yeah.
out.
It's an anime, so look out for that. But it's alright. And there's another one, Transformers Prime, and then there's Transformers Animated. Those three specifically I would recommend. But other than that, most of the shows are either good, but not enough to where I would recommend them,
Mhm.
or good, but I'm not remember. Oh yeah, Beast Wars and Generation One. How can I forget? But but of course those are so old now. A lot of kids these days. I don't know who your audience is. Your audience might be grown men. I don't know, but
Oh, there's a
kids.
spread.
Right. And kids these days probably would care more about the newer stuff, which is why I'm recommending this newer stuff. But um Armada, pretty sure is the first show I watched when I was a kid. Once I learned that the movies weren't the only Transformers stuff out there. Um and I recommend even watching the first movie again. Is it my personal favorite movie in the world? It might be. You know why? Because I have it memorized. I got it memorized,
Beautiful. That's
as
awesome.
Axel would say.
Yep. Yes,
If
you
you
would.
know, if you know, you know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
I I I literally have every line memorized, almost every line. Like,
Yeah.
I know earlier I couldn't think of the exact line that one guy said in that one scene, but that's because I haven't seen it in years. But like, I have every scene for scene. It's like a rhythm. It's like music that you know and love. Like, have you ever? This is a really stupid question, but have you ever had a song that you listen on the radio or on your iPod or whatever, and you just know the lyrics all the way through?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't listen to that many songs, but like, holy crap, it's like a song to me. I know everything that happens in that movie. It's ingrained into my brain because I grew up with it that much.
Yeah.
But
That's so
yeah,
great. It's really beautiful to hear um how much Transformers means to you and your experience, and thank you for being so open and honest about all those things, from your surgery to,
yeah,
the
no problem.
letters. It's just been really fun and fascinating to hear about all of that. And yeah, I don't know. Do you have any like closing remarks at all?
Well, like I said, I recommend checking some of the old shows. I recommend buying a toy or two. Um, try buying ones that are good because there are a lot of ones that are bad now.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, actually, on the toy part, I was gonna say this when you started talking about the toys, and then I forgot. Um, I think what's special about owning a collection of something is like, this is mine, Like, no one can take this away from me. Like, okay, like maybe I'll decide to sell them one day, but that's like entirely my decision. It's not my decision if I decide not to like a movie.
I think I've only one time ever given away a Transformer to somebody that isn't my brother.
Yeah.
Only one time did I ever do that, and that was for a trade, and they had given me Transformers back in return. That was the only time I had ever. Because other than that, any Transformer I've given away to my brother who lives in the same house. So he's able to, I can still see the Transformers I want it to. And it's because yeah, like you said, it's a really great point that you said. They are my collection, and I cannot ever break away from them. Even the terrible toys, like I said about an hour ago. Even the terrible toys are good because I can feel nostalgia, even if I personally don't have nostalgia of them. I can still feel it, and yeah, I as a closing comment, I just recommend Transformers in general. I recommend people not judging it for the movies. Please don't judge it because of the movies. I mean, you can judge it if you want. But like, for example, try not to judge Star Wars from the newest movies, or try not to. And that's not me saying that newest movies are bad. I think they're bad, but what I'm saying is try not to judge something from the most talked about media of it right then.
Yep.
Try not to judge StarCraft because it had a mediocre ending. Try not to judge Kingdom Hearts because Kingdom Hearts 3 was confusing to those of you that didn't play every single game. Try not to judge Transformers because you've only seen the Michael Bay movies, and all that you know of is they're just shitty blockbuster movies that got worse and worse as time progresses. Try not to judge them like that, because Transformers are way more important to like toys, way more important to movies. Toys are part of what made us. I know I'm quoting a Netflix show, The Toys That Made Us, which actually brings up Transformers a lot. But they are the toys that made us. G.I.
Yeah.
Joe, Star Wars toys, freaking Hot Wheels,
My Little
and
Ponies.
My Little Pony, which was also made by Hasbro.
Yep.
Which is really funny, but really cool at the same time. Um, people used to meme in the Transformer community about My Little Pony and Transformers being like brother sister relationship and having a weird like fan, what do they call 'em? Fan art.
That
Fan
sound
art.
that sounds awesome and
not
kind of
not
scary too.
weird, not yes scary, it does get scary, but like the good kind of fan art is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Rule 34 stuff. No. Anyway, that's my closing comment. Just don't judge Transformers by the movies. Don't judge things by the big topic that people are talking about.
Right.
When I bring up Transformers, I swear the next time I bring up Transformers, if somebody says, "Oh, those movies," yeah, like, I've heard of them. It's like, no, they're not just movies. They're
Right.
special.
Yeah,
and
and like I
yeah,
think that's so true. And I think all of us are guilty of that in like some way or another. Like,
of course,
sometimes
even I'm guilty of it. I,
I'll
that's why I didn't play Kingdom Hearts for so long, because I judged.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
judged. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I I'm trying to get better at that and having more of an open
Yeah.
mind. But like some things it's just not for you. And that's fine. That's okay. We talk about that a lot on this show. Like you're not gonna like everything. That's life. But I think it's okay to be able to encourage people to pursue what they're passionate about. And I think that's awesome. So I'm really glad that you love Transformers. I'm really glad that you found them all those years ago and they were there for you in the hard times. And I think it's awesome that even though the movies aren't the best or anything, but you still have a passion for them and a love for
I
them. And that's
knew.
really cool. And, I think it's sad people who are saying, I'm done with Star Wars or I'm done with Marvel, and I understand why.
It is
I
sad.
do
It
understand.
is sad.
Um, and
I
it's
understand
their
them
it's their
too.
choice, obviously. And but I think
And
it's okay to, to not like the new things that they're doing, but I think you can always remember the things that you do like about it, and it doesn't have to ruin the whole thing for you
And
necessarily.
like I said earlier, I personally didn't like Wonder Woman 84. I personally didn't like The Last Jedi. But I'm not done with Star Wars. I'm not done with DC movies. Just because a new movie comes out, that doesn't ruin the previous movie. It doesn't ruin the franchise behind those movies. Because again, Star Wars isn't just the movies. I know it started with the movies, the original movies in the 70s and 80s. But yeah, like there are more. There is so much more. There's games. There's the old movies. There's toys. There's the old movies. There, um, you know what I mean, though, right? Like
Yeah,
there's so much more that you can get into. That, yeah, like even though I personally don't like a movie, that doesn't mean I'm done with Star Wars or DC or Marvel. When people say that stuff, like you said, I understand. I do. But I don't say that personally because I genuinely don't like saying that because it feels like I'm being disingenuous. It feels like I'm not giving the franchise as a whole a chance. And I'd like to give them a chance.
for
So, yeah.
real. Amazing. That's awesome. I think we're coming up on time, so yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, Mark.
Yep.
And you can plug anything you want to. Tell the listeners where we can find you on the internet if you so
Mm,
wish to do that.
okay. Well, the only thing I want to plug is me and my friends. I will plug me because I am MarKreation Studios um, on YouTube and most other places. And right now I'm not doing stop motions, but I will get back to them eventually. I just need to figure myself out, and I need to get over this writer's block that I've had for 3+ years. I need to get over it, you know. Come to my channel. I'll do something eventually. In the meantime, check out Fuber Douche. FOB. No, you know what? I'll send you a link to some of my friends. And so then, if they don't understand what I'm saying, they can look in the description and check them out. Trooper
Absolutely.
Douche is another amazing stop motion animator, and he is a close friend of mine. There is another friend of mine named Dominus Mornum, who now has a new name that I cannot for the life of me spell. But hey, I'm gonna call him out too because he does some gameplay videos sometimes and live streams sometimes, and I think that's awesome. And I also have another friend named Rasian Nation that I brought up earlier. It talks about Transformers, just anything Transformers. There's also Mgo, who just mainly does reviews on the toys. And like I said way earlier, like an hour ago, the toys are my favorite part of Transformers right now. And so Mgo's kind of my main Transformer go-to channel right now, even though he doesn't talk about the Transformers news. Um, I'll send you the link to all those guys. But yeah, other than
Awesome.
that, I'm MarKreation Studios, and I don't have an outro.
That's okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate it. And I will be back soon. Bye.
Bye!
So that was Mark. This was such a surprisingly personal episode, but I really loved hearing his stories and why Transformers means so much to him. My name is Karis. You can follow Journey into Fandom on Twitter at J_into_fandom, and I am at Carison Ford on Twitter, CarysSonFord. For all my podcasts, Retrospective and Journey into Fandom. Thank you for listening. Bye.